It has been a really, really long time since I posted on this channel. And there has been a lot of things that have happened in regards to our journey to parenthood. I am now married. My wife and I got married last year, and we started really pursuing more fertility journey stuff in the fall. So we spent some time getting I had to get a bunch of testing done. I had to have an HSG test, which is where they push dye through your fallopian tubes to see if they are open for really enable you to participate in IUI. Lots of blood work, lots of ultrasounds. It's really like not. I'm sure IVF is harder. I've never done IVF, but it's a lot. It's still a lot with IUI medications. So essentially, just a quick breakdown for people who don't know yet, or you're starting, or you're not sure. Essentially what happens with IUI, so there's all of this preemptive testing that you have to do. So making sure your hormone levels are appropriate. Like I said, the HSG test that runs the dye through your fallopian tubes, all of that. And then once you get through all that, and you are starting your IUI, the first IUI process, you have to have an ultrasound between days 2 and this is, again, speaking from my clinic and where I go. It's going to depend, but just general. You have to come in for a vaginal ultrasound between day 2 and 5 of your cycle. So when you start your period, you call them, they schedule you to come in. That will tell you, that initial ultrasound will indicate like if you have any cysts going on, if there's any blockages, if there's anything that might be problematic. And that actually happened to me when I went into for my second IUI attempt, because my first one failed. I couldn't proceed past that point because I had a cyst, and they said, okay, we got to wait for this to dissipate. It'll probably disappear on its own. Come back when you start your next cycle. So you do that day 2 through 5. Then you come back. My clinic has me come back on day 12. Sorry, 1 second. Stop. Hey, stop. My cats are fighting. I'm sorry. So day 2 through 5 doing that. And then if everything looks clear, they started me on a round of letrozole, which is to basically plumpen up my follicles as much as possible in preparation to release an egg. So take letrozole for 5 days, I believe, then come back on day 12. My measurements were always small on day 12. So I would come day 12, you do another vaginal ultrasound, they measure your follicles, and then they see if have gotten to the size they need in order to be able to release an egg. Mine were not there yet. Mine were usually like 9, 11, 12, sometimes 13. So I came back on day 14, had a size 16 follicle. It depended on the cycle, but essentially always on day 14 was they said, okay, you're ready. So then that evening, I would do that evening, or whenever they told me, I would do a trigger shot. And the trigger shot is like a boost of hormones that forces your body to ovulate. And so ovulation would occur 24 to 36 hours. Basically, the trigger shot would take place, and then 36 hours later, I would come back to the clinic for the actual IUI procedure. IUI procedure consisted of a catheter being inserted into my uterus. No, that's wrong. Into my cervix, and then essentially the donor sperm, because obviously we are same sex, we had a donor, and I'm happy to talk about that process, how we got our sperm donor and all that in another video. Inserted, they elevated my hips for 10 minutes, and then I'm free to go about my day. And then there's a 2-week wait, so 14 days later is when you can test for pregnancy. So that's kind of the process in a nutshell. It's when I say it's hard, besides emotionally, it's just hard logistically with work, right? Because you have to go in. My clinic's about 30 minutes away, so having to go in, get the ultrasound, missing work and things like that. So it's been interesting. We had our first IUI cycle in March of 2022. It did not work. And then, like I said, we went in April and they said no go. We went in May, and we just had a second IUI about a week and a half ago. So far, I am testing negative. I've been taking pregnancy tests since day 6 post IUI, which is not recommended. Don't do that. But I am unable to, I don't have any self-control. So I've been getting negatives. Today is technically day 9 and it's June 5th, right? Because yeah. So typically, what occurs, and this may be like, why are you telling us this? We already know it. I'm sorry. Fast forward or I don't know. Basically what happens after IUI is the egg and the sperm have to meet, right? And so the goal of the IUI is to get the sperm as close to the where the egg is going to be released as possible. So it's sort of like bypassing your cervix, that cervical mucus that would normally happen when a man ejaculates. Goes all the way up as far as it can and then releases the sperm as close to the opening as possible. And so it gives more probability for the egg and sperm to meet. That process, so if they meet and the egg is fertilized, then there's all this cell division that occurs, and there's very complex scientific terminology that I don't know. But essentially, that takes a while. The egg has to travel through the fallopian tubes. Yes, I don't know. Yes, to get into the uterus. And that usually takes, usually like the first 3 or 4 days is my understanding, maybe 5. And then once the egg gets to the uterus, then it's done all of this cell division, and it's already started sort of like becoming like, it's got the blastocyst and all kinds of stuff. It has to implant into your uterus, and essentially it's like burrowing into your uterine wall. It's a parasite. No. And so that happens between days 6 and 12. So it can take up to 12 days for that implantation to occur. Once the implantation occurs, that's when your body starts producing the hormone HCG that's what alerts you to, like when you're taking a pregnancy test. That's the hormone that is being picked up on. So typically you're going to have negative pregnancy tests for a while until that implantation occurs and that hormone starts to build up. So for me, it was like, because I took the HCG, because I took the trigger shot sort of causes false positives. So I tested on day 6 and it was a very, very faint positive, but that's because I still had the trigger shot hormone in my system, which is the same as as what your body produces in that implantation stage. So do not take tests early. You're going to get false positives. Our clinic and everywhere I've read, in any clinic will tell you, do not take a test till day 14. That's when your body is going to start showing. And so, yeah, that's kind of that. I have a lot more thoughts around like my emotional being and how I'm feeling, but I'm short on time today. So I just wanted to do a quick update. I'll probably make another video this week just to talk a little bit about that, because it's really starting to set in the like toll of this process, and it's becoming challenging. So anyway, if anyone's watching, have a good day and thanks for listening. Bye.